Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Srey. And in today's video, I am going to be going to a little bit deeper topic of how to support someone who's gone through SA and what can you do as an individual who is trying to support that person. So one of the questions I was asked, which I thought was really informative that I wanted to share with everybody was, what advice or actions should I give or do to someone who went through trauma, who currently seems okay, but if it comes up later on, in case they're bottling up their emotions, what can they do? So what can the victim do as someone who's gone through SAID? Of course, one of the things they can do obviously is seek therapy, but that's not always available to everyone. And depending if you believe in therapy, sometimes you don't think that you want to talk to a stranger about it. So my advice for the person who is feeling the emotions later on is to confide in someone that they trust and they feel like that person doesn't judge them. Take your time on talking about it, because this is not a race. There's no timeline of I should get this done in this amount of time and this amount of days or years. Figure out your emotions, feel your emotions out, let yourself go through your emotions. You kind of have to relive it in your head a little bit, but this is the only way to heal. Kind of like when you wash dishes, right? The dish is dirty, and to clean it, your hands get dirty. So that's the same type of situation here, where you really need to acknowledge your emotions, like validate yourself. I feel sad right now. I feel angry that happened to me. I am upset. Why? I used to sit there and I used to question it, like, if there's a God, why would they allow this to happen to me as a child? Like, I didn't do anything at that point in life to deserve that. If karma is real, what karma did I have to go through this? We won't find the answers to that, but it's good to talk it out. Sometimes it's just good to talk to yourself. If you're not ready to fully talk to another individual, talk to yourself about it. I find that very therapeutic. I find that very comforting, because I have to deal with it. At the end of the day, have to deal with my emotions. So I need to validate myself first. So sit there and journal, look in the mirror, cry, whatever emotions you feel, let it out, feel it out, so that it's not bottled up anymore. Any emotions that we bottle up will eventually explode, and it'll just come out in other ways that are probably toxic in our behavior. And it shows, usually it does show. So again, one of the few steps is just to validate your emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to take an hour or two and just isolate yourself and be in your room, shut off all the lights, do whatever you need to do. Meditate if you can. If you can't, that's okay too. There's really no right or wrong way. Obviously, as long as it doesn't involve self-harm or harming anyone else or any other individual at all. But if you find solace in music, listen to music for hours and just understand how you feel. Describe it to yourself. I'm angry that this individual did this to me. I'm angry nobody was there to protect me. I'm mad. I'm furious. I can't be here right now. And cry, scream if you have to. Letting yourself cry and feel sad is probably one of the biggest steps of healing that I've encountered when I would ever deal with anything that I needed to deal with. And don't be sad that you are sad. I know that sounds funny, but don't feel ashamed of feeling your emotions. Allow yourself. You're human. You have emotions. It's okay if you don't know what the words to describe your emotions. Sometimes we're still figuring that out and it takes time. But validating that it happened, validating your emotions, that how you feel about it, and kind of let it soak in. And then the more we accept it, the easier it is for us to actually deal with it. Once we accept that happened to us, that's when we can kind of move on and figure out the next steps of, okay, so what do I do with this information? This happened to me and I feel sad. I know I'm sad. I know I'm angry. I know that I feel X, Y, and Z, but what now? The key point here is to eventually do it in a way where every time you think about the situation, it's not so, let me compare this to something like when you got a cut falling off a bike when you were like 8 or 5, whatever. When it hurt and you cried at that age, usually, most likely. But let's say you're 25 now. When you think of that, you remember it happened, you know it happened, but you no longer are crying anymore about it. I mean, you might tear up a little bit, or depending how bad it is, but it's not choking you up to the point where you can't do something. So my point being is that schedule time to cry. Literally, like, schedule time to let it out. Let it out. And hopefully eventually every single time you do it, it'll hurt a little less. I can't give you a time frame of like cry 10 times for an hour each, and then by the 10th time you won't feel anything anymore. I can't guarantee that. It's up to the person, and it's up to you. And you'll know when you accept it, and when you think about it. Like when I talk about it now, I don't burst into tears as much anymore. Like it's still in the back of my throat, in my chest. Like I still feel a little congested because it's a hurtful memory. But I don't feel the need to cry anymore. I don't feel I can talk about it freely. I can describe it. I can go into detail about it without dreading in tears and falling apart. Now, I really don't know how long it really takes, but I gauge it by how comfortable I am when I tell new people about the story. I'm very comfortable about it. I'm very open about it. It's something that I can talk about, and I don't choke up anymore. So that's my measurement of like, I've healed enough. And I want to say there's no way we're gonna 100% heal. That's not realistic. A hurtful memory is a hurtful memory. It's gonna hurt us no matter what happens in life, how old we are. It's still gonna sting a little. But hopefully the goal is that we accept it, and it doesn't change our lives to a drastic point where we can't live our lives, where we can't get out of bed, where we can't have a good relationship, a romantic relationship, a friendship, anything, a job. The whole point of healing is so that event doesn't hold you back from just doing whatever you want to do in life. And it's not in control of you. You're in control of the situation. So yeah, mainly my key points is to feel out your emotions once it comes out, validate them, don't deny them, because the more you deny them, the more you're pushing back yourself, and you're hurt. In a way, you're denying yourself and denying your path to healing. So validate yourself first before you look for validation anywhere else. The only opinion that really matters is your opinion. Your opinion about your trauma and your healing is number one. And that's how I've been able to continue on, is I rely on myself for advice. I rely on myself for approval. I rely on myself for validation in any type of way, because at the end of the day, when I close my eyes, my thoughts are the last thing I hear. And when we pass away one day, I'm passing away with myself. I know the people around us matter, but you matter number one. Your emotions matter number one. When you went through it probably alone. So therefore, only your opinion really matters in the situation. I hope that helps a little bit of indication of how you can deal with something. Sorry, my phone. How you can deal with something that you've put away, and it's starting to come up again. And again, it's validation for yourself. And the second question that I got, which I thought was very interesting, was how can I, as a friend, family member, boyfriend or girlfriend, someone who cares about someone who's gone through SA, help the person? So like, what kind of advice can you give to that person, or what can you do to be there for someone, for the victim who's gone through this, or the survivor? The things that you can say is like, just let them know you'll be there. Let them know that you are available for them as much as you can be, to let them vent. There's not much you can personally physically do besides being ear to listen. And I would validate someone by saying like, take your time on what you want to tell me, when you want to tell me. how you want to tell me, and you get to pick when you're ready. And I'm here for you. When I have a conversation with someone that's going through that, I always, do a checkup like, are you okay to talk about this? It's okay if you don't want to talk about this. Um, just to make sure they're okay when they're sharing this information with you. Because I don't want you to feel pressured. This is what you can say to them. I don't want you to feel pressured to tell me anything. And thank you for sharing this with me and trusting this information with me, because I care about you and I really want you to heal at the end of the day. Just letting them take their time. Don't, obviously don't pressure them like you have to heal. And don't tell them they have to go tell somebody either. Like, in this particular situation, for example, like, don't say, go tell your parents about it. If they don't have a good relationship with their parents or whoever involved, the legal system, whatever it is, let them decide on their own who they want to speak to or not. I know this can be a tricky topic depending on the victim's age and as such, but what I find best is let the victim choose when they want to reveal it, whether it's 10 years later or 5 years later or 5 days later. That's up to them, because that's their experience. Don't pressure them to do what you think is the right path, whether it's to go to the police, things like that. I will allow you as a parent or guardian to figure that out on with your child, but at the same time, if you're like someone who is a friend and you're trying to support them, you can suggest things, but at the same time, it's up to them to decide. And you have to kind of say it in a light way. Say, if this is someone that's still around, be like, hey, what is the best way for me to help you get out of the situation? Do you think it's best to reach out to the police, or do you think it's best to reach out to your parents, or do you think it's best to reach out to whoever? I would phrase it in a question, and don't tell them what you think that they should do, because that's probably the last thing they need, is to have someone tell them and direct them. Unless they ask you for advice of, what do you think I should do? I would phrase everything you're suggesting to them in a question form. Do you think it's a good idea to tell so and so? And you can add in your tidbit of like, I think it's a good idea if you tell so and so, and why. But don't, it's a very sensitive topic, obviously. It's an awkward topic. And the last thing you should do is pin them in the corner and say, you should do this and this and this. Not everyone is capable of going to a courtroom and facing their attacker. That's traumatic. It's traumatic that it happened already, and you're telling me I have to go to a courtroom now and I have to face them? That's hard. Sometimes they just need to get away, and that's their healing process. So what we think as a society is the correct way to do something might not be the best way for this person to heal. Of course, if this is a child, then you need to act accordingly. But if this is like a grown adult who's not dealing with the situation anymore, and this was something in their past, and they're no longer in danger, then it's up to them if they want to go to the law. It's up to them if they want to proceed that way. And if they don't, that's okay too. And if they don't want to go to therapy, that's okay too. That's okay. And if all they want to do is tell you, and you're the only person they trust, that's okay too. Just because we heal differently, we all heal differently, and we all have different methods and time frames of how things work for us. There's no right or wrong way to do something, but it's important mainly to let out your emotions and acknowledge them. Acknowledge that the event happened, and acknowledge that it's over and that it won't happen again, and that it won't be the reason why you can't do something. So that's the main goal here, whatever it takes for them. Like if they develop a new hobby, if they go to yoga, they learn to play an instrument, whatever method that is, whatever helps them release their emotions is key. And you just kind of have to, as a supporter, you just kind of have to kind of wait and be patient and let them open and close the door of the story as they please, because there's only so much you can do as someone who is a friend of someone who's gone through this. And let them just do checkups like, hey, you know, after this talk, did it help? Did anything I say help? And that's some validation on how you approached it, and they can tell you yes or no. You know, like, was I too aggressive in any way? Was I supportive of when you were telling me about the situation? So that's a good way to gauge if you're able to support your person and kind of validating them. When I speak to someone about this, I like to check, like, is it okay that I said that? Because you never know, right? You never know. You might think what you say is okay because for you it's okay, but you don't know if it's for that person. Even if you're close to them, doesn't mean that you know what will bother them or not. It's good to check up. It's always good to just be like, is it okay that we talk about it? Do you want to stop talking about it? And I know I have a habit of like speaking my opinion when someone tells me any story. So I always check like, um, is it okay if I say my opinion? And, you know, as a supporter, you always kind of want to say, stop me whenever you need me to. And if you don't want to talk about it anymore, just cut me off and let me know, because I don't want to step boundaries and make you uncomfortable. And you're already someone who's gone through such hurt and trauma. So that's a big disclaimer I like to give, being like, you know, if you want to just all of a sudden stop talking about it, let me know and I'll stop talking about it, because this is the floor is yours, and I'm here to support you in your trauma. I know I am angry that you went through this. I know that I love you and I support you, and I might have a lot to say, but if you don't want me to say it, I will stop, because I don't want to make you uncomfortable about a very uncomfortable situation as it is. And as someone that's probably supporting someone that's going through this, you're probably really hurt too. Whether it's happening currently or whether it happened to them in their past. Of course you're hurt. You love this person. That's why you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out, how can I help them? You need to also probably validate your emotions too, and accept that this happened to them, because it hurts. Like when I hear someone that I care about and it's like they went through this, it does hurt me. It makes me want to cry, and it's like, why does this happen, you know? Like, why does this have to happen to someone so loving, so caring, so beautiful? It's not fair. Why? So make sure you validate your feelings as well and kind of heal through it as well, because when our loved ones get hurt, we get a little hurt too, and that's very normal. Do a check-in with yourself and say, are you okay with this information? You know, how are you handling learning that this happened to someone that you deeply care about? Like, what can, and you know, it hurts that like you weren't there, you didn't meet them when this happened, so you couldn't protect them, or you were there and you still couldn't protect them. Forgive yourself for that. This is not something that we can predict. This is not something we can map out. We can't say so and so has a high risk of this happening to them. This is not a disease where a doctor can do a scan on you and a blood test and be like, you have a higher risk of this disease. Like, this event happens randomly. Do not, like, you know, do not make it your responsibility. And I know that as a parent or an older sibling or a sibling, younger sibling, cousin, etc., as a guardian of someone that's gone through this, I know that more than likely, if you care, you will most likely take responsibility for this happening to this person. Please don't. I mean, you did your best to hope that this didn't happen to this individual, but if it's out of sight in the sense of it was just someone that you never thought would do this, it's not your fault. I know it's hard to forgive yourself. I know it is. And the fact that you're just there for them and to let them know that you're there is the best that you can do. And just say that you're here. Whenever you need to talk about it, I'm here for you. I'm speaking like as if I'm like someone's parent, and I don't have children, but like let's say I do, and I'm kind of speaking as if I'm the parent and I feel guilty that my child went through this. It's not the parent's fault. And whoever you are as a supporter, it's not your fault. I'm here to tell you that it's not your fault. Don't let this eat you up, because it will eat you up. And you have to also heal. You have to also accept and move on. You also have to validate your emotions of like, oh my God, this happened on this day and I was elsewhere. Whatever, even if it was a mistake of yours, of you allowing something to happen that maybe shouldn't have happened, learn from it. Learn from it so that it doesn't happen again, you know, depending on how long ago the situation happened. And it's okay to feel guilty for that moment, but don't let it drag on and ruin your life. Don't let it be your identity. Don't let it steal your life away. You can feel guilty. The advice I gave earlier for the victim to feel their emotions out, you can apply that to yourself. You can apply this to any trauma, is let it out. Let yourself feel it. Write it out. Validate it. Be like, I feel guilty that I wasn't there to protect them. I feel like this is my fault. I'm the one that allowed it. Let all of that out and then let it go. The point is to let it go. Cry as many times as you need to until eventually it feels a little bit easier. Again, it'll never 100% cover, kind of like, right, like I got cut, like I have a scar here. I don't know if you can see on camera, but like there's a little scar here. I got cut at one point and it's still there, but it doesn't hurt when I touch it anymore. But I can still see it, just like how you'll still remember it. It'll be there, but it's not going to be oozing out blood anymore. And that's the point of the healing emotional process that we're trying to go through here. Let yourself feel. Let yourself be human. Let yourself just let it out. Let it out and let it go. And again, I don't have an X amount of number of you'll get over it in a week. You'll get over it in 2. I don't know when I officially was comfortable. I didn't keep track. But I gauged it as the more I dealt with it, the easier it was for me to deal with it. And I convinced myself that I'm okay. So as someone that's supporting someone who's going through this, if you have that guilt, let it go. Let it go. You cannot, we all make mistakes, and you cannot let this control you. And I know it's hard. I know this is hard. If this was your child or someone you were in care of, I know it's hard. I'm not saying I went through it. It's hard for me that actually went through it. So I can only imagine for your situation too. And I'm just here to extend a hand of love and be like, it's not your fault. And you can learn from whatever mistakes you need to learn, whether it's, I shouldn't have let this person take care of my child because I was just not there for them. Like, I'm kind of thinking of the Drake Bell situation where I don't want to blame the mother, but like, you know, the mother didn't really take it into her responsibility to drive Drake Bell to places. And that was when that person kind of came along and did that. Okay, you learned from your mistake. You're not going to do this again. You can't rewrite the past. You have to accept it and move on. And your focus is to be the supporter of the victim. If you really feel, if you're in a position where you feel like you could have prevented it and you didn't, all you can do is help this person move on, and help this person heal. And again, I'm not saying that hurt of guilt will disappear, but you can't let it stop you. You just can't. And anything in life, it can't control you, because you have a life to live, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to make mistakes, and we're here to learn from them, and we're here to grow as an individual. I know it's easier said than done, but it can be done. It can be done. And I believe in you because I was able to do it, and I'm here to tell you that you can too. And I didn't have supports in the way where it was like a professional or anything like that. Not knocking that. I'm not saying you shouldn't seek out a therapist. If that's what you need, seek it. But what I'm also trying to say is that I didn't have that and I'm okay. I didn't have that and I'm mentally okay. I'm healthy mentally. I'm able to regulate my emotions. I'm able to validate my emotions. I'm able to be my own friend, that I don't need people. And I'm not trying to encourage this on anybody. I'm not trying to encourage that you don't need people. If you want people, go ahead. But I was able to do it with my own support, and you can too. You can too. And a lot of it is just being alone in our emotions and facing them head on and being like, I am so sad right now. I am so mad. But you just have to wake up. Don't let it, you need, my last tip is, after you allow yourself to feel those emotions, don't let it drag on out of unnecessary time frames. Like, if you really need to call it the next day, sure, but this can't affect your attendance at work. This can't affect your regular life. It's okay to take a break, a mental break on the weekend. Don't go out, call out, etc. But this shouldn't get to the point where you're just disappear from work for a week. Don't let that happen, because then you're letting your emotions control you. You get to pick when you want to release it, and you get to pick when it stops. And let's say I cry for 2 hours and I'm still not over it, but I have to cook because I'm hungry. I'm not going to neglect eating, right? I don't really know how to explain how I do this, but I tell myself to stop. You just have to talk to yourself and be like, put this on pause, Srey. Go eat. Whatever you can make, go eat. Order out if you have to. Get fast food, whatever. But you need to eat. You haven't eaten all day. So let yourself feel it, but don't let it rule you. Don't let it stop you from your life and your goals. Just basic things like food, going to the gym, going to work, taking a drive, walking your dog, playing with your kid, etc. So make sure that you stop at a certain point and pick it up when you need to pick it up again. Don't let it prolong more than it needs to for that time of day, because you have many days of free time that you can revisit this topic and let out your emotions again. There's plenty of times where there are things that are lingering that it comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend time and I'm gonna feel it out. I have free time this evening on my lunch break, and I'm gonna cry. Usually I cry when I'm letting my emotions out. I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna think about it and I'm gonna let myself feel it. That's simply what I do. And then I just let it go. You just have to learn how to let it go. And some just final thoughts. Again, this is not easy. It's not something that can be done and picked up so easily. I understand that, but I am here to share my stories so that others out there who are going through similar situations can have some type of guidance, where it doesn't involve a therapy session, where it doesn't involve a professional, where it doesn't involve a scheduled time. Not everybody has that privilege. Not everybody has that resource. And we have to have other methods of healing. And again, one of my ways was I would look up psychology videos, and I really found it really helpful to listen to people who's gone through what I've gone through. I found that very healing. I found that very inspirational, to kind of see, oh, they went through something very similar and they're doing okay. That was proof for me to motivate me that I can keep going. So if I can provide that for you, I hope I can. And I'm kind of speaking to the person watching this video, in the sense that you're looking to support someone who's gone through this. And I just want to tell you that it's not your fault they went through this. And if you really feel like, if you really have a logical reason why it could be your fault, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself and learn from that mistake, and learn to not repeat it, whatever it may be, with the next child or whatnot. That's the only thing we can do. We can't go back in time and be like, I should have picked up my kid that one day. I shouldn't have asked so-and-so to pick up my kid, or else this wouldn't have happened. We literally can't do that. And we have to accept that, like, I will never let anyone touch my kid and pick up my kid anymore. It's a done deal. You know, obviously that's normal, right? And just forgive yourself. And if you can't forgive yourself, feel it out. Feel it out until it doesn't feel as hurtful as much anymore. And I truly don't know what it's like to be a parent yet, but I know that I feel like a parent would say to me, the hurt of a child will always hurt for the rest of my life. I don't doubt that, but you also still need to live your life, you know? Um, you owe yourself a life too, outside of this event. And it cannot control you, and it cannot control your destiny and your path and everything you do. It can't. You have to take action, and you have to take it in your own hands and support yourself. Yeah, so I really hope this video helped people from the side of supporting someone who's gone through this a little more, and maybe a little bit of guidance of what you can do and how you can be there for someone who's gone through it. And again, thank you for tuning in, and have a nice day. And I really hope that this helped you guys. Bye.